Welcome to another episode of PL Pod. So I want to start by painting a very specific picture for you today.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
We're going back to the year 2002. So imagine you're in London and you walk into one of those sprawling, slightly dusty local music stores.
Yeah.
The kind that, barely even exist anymore.
Oh, yeah. I really miss those places.
Right, totally. And in the jazz section, there's a 14-year-old girl just sort of wandering the aisles. She's not looking for anything in particular.
Just browsing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But she stops and picks up two CDs, one by Etta James and one by Ella Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. She doesn't pick them up because she's some teenage jazz aficionado.
Right.
She buys them for the most relatable 14-year-old reason ever. She just thinks the album covers look cool.
I love that. It is such a wonderfully mundane start to a pretty monumental story. I mean, she doesn't have a grand master plan. She just likes the aesthetic.
Yeah. But here's what happens next, and this is where it gets interesting. She goes home, puts those CDs in her player, and instead of just having them on as like background noise while she does her homework, she starts actively listening to them.
Wow.
For an hour, every single night. In her own words, she was using those records to, quote, get to know her own voice. And this actually brings us to the massive tension, or I guess the central contradiction, at the heart of this deep dive today.
The contrast between who she was then and who she actually becomes.
Exactly. I mean, think about this. That same teenage girl grows up to suffer from paralyzing stage fright, intense homesickness, and a literal fear of flying.
Basically everything that makes touring impossible.
Right. By all accounts, she is someone whose very nature should actively reject the life of a global megastar. Yet she becomes a phenomenon who sells over 120 million records, sweeps the Grammys, and essentially single-handedly revives the physical music industry's sales.
Right, during the streaming era, no less.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a trajectory that defies almost every rule of modern pop music, especially, when you look at what the music industry actually sounded like in the early 21st century.
Right, and that is the crux of what we're unpacking in this deep dive.
Yeah.
We are talking about Adele, born Adele Laurie Blue Adkins. We're going to explore how an artist completely dominated an era of highly manufactured, auto-tuned pop music by doing the exact opposite.
Right, by leaning into raw, unpolished human emotion.
Deep heartbreak and a once-in-a-generation vocal talent. But before we get to the global domination, I want to figure out the origin of that talent. A voice like that doesn't just appear in a vacuum.
No, it certainly doesn't. And to really understand Adele, you have to understand her foundation. So she was born in Tottenham, London in 1988.
Okay.
And she was raised almost entirely by her single mother, Penny, who worked as a furniture maker and organized adult learning activities. Her Welsh father actually left when Adele was just 2 years old.
Oh, wow. So it was really just the two of them.
Yeah, just the two of them. And that obsession with voices, the one that led her to Etta James, that actually started much earlier. She was deeply fixated on singing by the time she was 4 years old.
I read about her childhood bedroom, and it paints such a funny picture. By the time she was 11, her room was essentially a shrine to the Spice Girls.
Yes, a total shrine.
She would impersonate them at dinner parties for her mom's friends. And when Jerry Halliwell, Ginger Spice, left the group, Adele was genuinely heartbroken.
She was devastated.
It's just wild to think of the woman who wrote someone like you, arguably one of the most sophisticated heartbreak ballads of our time, putting on a sequined eye patch that her mom crafted for her so she could impersonate the pop singer Gabrielle in a school talent contest.
It is a great image, honestly, but it highlights something crucial, I think. She was absorbing everything. She wasn't just passively consuming pop culture.
She was studying it.
Exactly. She was actively studying performance, mimicking tone, phrasing, stage presence from a very young age. And that dedication eventually lands her at the BRIT School for Performing Arts and Technology in Croydon, where she graduates in 2006.
And we should clarify for you listening, the BRIT School isn't just like a regular high school drama club. This is a massive incubator for UK talent.
Oh, absolutely.
Her classmates included people like Leona Lewis and Jessie J. You would assume that someone with Adele's vocal chops attending a star factory like that is meticulously planning her route to global fame.
You would assume that, yeah. But her actual ambition at the time was entirely different.
This blew my mind. She didn't want to be the star at all.
Yeah.
She actually wanted to be an A&R executive, artists and repertoire. She wanted the desk job.
It's so funny to think about.
She wanted to be the person who discovers and launches other people's careers. To put that in perspective for
Right.
you, it is like a generational, once-in-a-lifetime master chef attending the most elite culinary school in the world just because they want to write restaurant reviews.
Right. It completely flips the narrative of the desperate, fame-hungry pop star on its head. That lack of desperation is arguably her superpower.
Totally.
She wasn't trying to mold herself into a marketable product for a record label because she thought she'd be working at the record label. She was just writing and singing for herself. And so after graduating, she recorded a 3-song demo for a class project and just casually handed it to a friend.
And we have to set the scene here for a second.
There.
It's 2006. This is the absolute golden age of MySpace.
Oh, peak MySpace.
Her friend posts the demo online, and it organically blows up. The internet does its thing, and it catches the ear of Richard Russell, who is the director of XL Recordings. He calls Adele to bring her in for a meeting, and her reaction is just priceless.
She thought it was a scam.
Yes.
She literally did not believe a record label was calling her. She even brought a friend with her to the meeting just in case things went sideways.
Which just proves how entirely uncalculated she was.
Yeah.
So she signs with XL, gets management, and drops her debut album, 19. And in the UK, it is an instant triumph.
A massive hit.
She wins the BRIT Awards Critics' Choice. The album hits #1, propelled by songs like Hometown Glory, which, by the way, she wrote in 10 minutes when she was 16 years old.
16. That is just staggering.
I know, 16. But while she is dominating Britain, America is a completely different story. She really struggled to break into the U.S. market initially.
She did, and part of the reason for that struggle is something that makes management teams literally tear their hair out. She wasn't operating with any kind of military discipline or strategic focus.
Right.
In fact, despite the massive momentum building in the UK, she canceled her 2008 U.S. tour dates.
Wait, hold on. I need to stop you there because as someone looking at how the music business works, that is practically professional suicide. Canceling an American tour when you are a new British artist trying to break out. That's the holy grail. Why would she do that?
To be with the former boyfriend. And as she admitted with incredible candor years later, to drink.
I mean, I appreciate the honesty, but that is staggering. She did an interview later where she bluntly called it her early life crisis.
Yeah, she didn't sugarcoat it.
She admitted she was drinking far too much, that alcohol was essentially the foundation of her relationship with this boy, and she just couldn't bear to be away from him.
Which is very human.
It is. But when you combine that with her intense homesickness and that crippling fear of flying we mentioned, you have an artist who is actively pulling the emergency brake on her own international career.
And I think it reveals a profound tension in her character. From day one, Adele has been fiercely protective of her personal life and her immediate emotional needs, often to the absolute detriment of her professional trajectory. She prioritizes her human experience over the standard pop star playbook.
But despite her best efforts to derail her own U.S. breakout, the universe had other plans. And this brings us to October 2008 and an event that completely alters the trajectory of her life.
Oh, the Saturday Night Live performance.
This is legendary. Talk about lighting a match in a room full of gasoline. It's October 18, 2008. Adele is booked as a musical guest on SNL. But it is not a normal Saturday.
Not at all.
This is the exact same night that U.S. vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin makes her highly anticipated guest appearance.
Right. The political climate in the U.S. is absolutely electric at this point.
Exactly. It's a monocultural moment where everybody in the country is watching the same television screen.
Yeah.
The episode pulls in 17 million viewers,
Mm.
which was SNL's highest rating in 14 years.
And right in the middle of this massive, high-octane political circus stands this 19-year-old British girl. She sings Chasing Pavements and Cold Shoulder.
Yeah.
And the contrast must have been completely disarming for the audience. You have all this loud, chaotic sketch comedy and election tension, and then she just cuts right through the noise with this deeply soulful, grounded, emotional performance.
Former SNL cast member Bill Hader actually talked about this. He said during rehearsals, the entire rewrite table up on the 9th floor heard her singing through the monitors.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He recalled that a room full of stressed-out comedy writers just stopped dead in their tracks, pulled back the curtain, looked down the stage, and said, "Who is that?"
That is amazing. And it really was an overnight paradigm shift for her. The very next morning, 19 topped the iTunes charts. She rocketed up 35 places on the Billboard 200 in a single week.
Wow.
And shortly after that, she moved out of her mother's house, quit drinking, and in early 2009, she wins the Grammy for Best New Artist. The SNL appearance forced her into the American mainstream, which meant she finally had to tour the U.S. properly.
And that forced U.S. tour is the exact causal link to what happens next. It sets the stage for her second album, 21, The Phenomenon.
The game changer.
We cannot overstate how massive 21 was when it dropped in 2011. But musically, it's a huge departure from the London soul of her debut. I mean, I don't understand how an album with such a classic, organic, almost rootsy country sound comes from a girl from Tottenham.
Well, the answer is entirely environmental. While she was finally touring the American South in 2008 and 2009, her tour bus driver started playing contemporary Nashville country music and Southern blues.
Oh, wow. Just on the bus.
Just on the bus. And Adele was completely captivated. She later said she had never grown up around that kind of music in London. The storytelling, the instrumentation, the raw vocal delivery of Nashville country profoundly influenced the sonic landscape of 21.
So you take that sudden infusion of Nashville roots music and you collide it with a devastating breakup, the same relationship she had derailed her earlier tour for.
Exactly. That heartbreak becomes the lyrical engine for the record.
And the result is just, it's historic. 21 becomes the best-selling album of the entire 21st century. It tops the Billboard 200 for 24 weeks. At one point in the UK, a copy of either 21 or 19 was selling every 7 seconds.
That's just hard to even comprehend.
Every 7 seconds.
And to put that achievement into cultural context, Billboard credited her with literally reviving the physical music industry in 2011. Think about what mainstream pop sounded like that year.
Right.
It was the peak of the EDM boom. Everyone was chasing electronic club trends, heavy synthesizers, heavy auto-tune. Artists were trying to sound simultaneously like each other to get radio play.
Yeah, everything was very heavily produced.
And Adele completely rejected that. She anchored pop music in raw, relatable, confessional songwriting. She provided an organic, acoustic-driven alternative to the heavily processed sound of the time.
She proved that people were starving for authenticity. But right as she is ruling the world, standing at the absolute peak of the mountain, a massive crisis hits. The very instrument that got her there gives out.
Yeah. In late 2011, Adele suffered a vocal cord hemorrhage and developed a benign polyp.
Oh, man.
She was forced to cancel her tours and underwent laser microsurgery at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston. For a singer whose entire identity and career are built on the sheer power of her voice, this is terrifying. It's a potentially career-ending scenario.
I want to break this down for you listening because we throw terms around like vocal hemorrhage, but what is actually happening mechanically in her throat? How does someone just break their voice?
Well, it really comes down to the physical toll of her specific technique. Adele is a mezzo-soprano, meaning her natural range spans from B2 to C6. But she's very often mistaken for a contralto, which is a much lower, deeper voice type. To hit and sustain those incredibly rich, powerful lower notes, she relies on something called a tense chest mix.
Okay, pretend I'm 5 years old. What does a tense chest mix actually mean?
Okay, think about when you speak naturally. That vibration you feel in your chest is your chest voice. When you sing high notes, you transition to your head voice, which feels lighter.
Right, I can picture that.
Adele was taking that heavy, forceful chest voice and pushing it way past its natural breaking point up into higher registers.
Oh, wow.
It creates that incredible, smoky, booming power we associate with her. But the vocal cords are literally two folds of delicate tissue clapping together. Pushing that much air and tension through them creates immense physical friction.
It sounds like taking a car out on the highway, leaving it in second gear, and pushing it to 80 miles an hour. You're going to get a terrifyingly loud, powerful roar from the engine, but eventually, something under the hood is going to snap.
That is a perfect analogy, actually. The immense stress literally caused the blood vessels in her vocal cords to rupture. That's the hemorrhage.
But the wild thing is the aftermath. She has this highly delicate laser microsurgery, followed by a period of absolute strict vocal rest. And she didn't just recover, her instrument came back upgraded.
It really did.
Following the surgery, her voice actually became palpably bigger and purer toned.
Yeah.
She gained 4 extra notes at the very top of her register.
Yeah, the surgery removed the polyps that were obstructing the cords, allowing them to close cleanly again. And she proved this new capacity at the 2012 Grammys, which was her live comeback following the surgery.
What a place to make a comeback.
Right, and she wins all 6 of her nominations that night, tying a record set by Beyoncé. She sweeps the floor.
Just incredible.
And she doesn't stop. She writes and performs Skyfall for the James Bond franchise, winning an Oscar. Then comes her third album, 25, in 2015, which she called a makeup record, compared to 21 being a breakup record.
And 25 just shatters global sales records, selling over 3 million copies in the U.S. in its first week alone.
Unprecedented.
Followed by 30 in 2021, a deeply personal album where she navigates her divorce and tries to explain it to her young son. Every single time she returns, the world drops everything to listen.
They really do.
But I want to pivot here for a second. We've talked about the diamond records, the Oscars, the upgraded vocal cords. Let's zoom in on the psychology of the human being dealing with all of this. Because handling that level of global scrutiny, especially when you have documented stage fright, requires serious coping mechanisms.
It does. And her stage fright isn't just pre-show jitters, it is intense anxiety. To manage it, she actually constructed an alter ego named Sasha Carter.
I love this detail so much.
It's a hybrid persona. It's half Beyoncé's fierce, untouchable alter ego, Sasha Fierce, and half deeply grounded American country legend, June Carter.
That is such a specific and brilliant combination.
Right. Before meeting Beyoncé once, Adele had an intense anxiety attack and literally asked herself out loud, what would Sasha Fierce do? It became a psychological tool to help her step into the spotlight when her natural human instinct was to run away from it.
Think about that for a second. Think about the last time you, the listener, had to give a big presentation at work or maybe give a toast at a crowded wedding and your heart is pounding in your ears. Now multiply that audience by 150,000 people.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
That is exactly what happened at Glastonbury in 2016. She is headlining the Pyramid stage, the absolute pinnacle of British live music. And just 30 minutes before she's supposed to go on, she has a massive panic attack. She actually breaks down in tears during a live radio interview with the BBC.
The pressure must have been incomprehensible.
But the reason she broke down wasn't just the crowd size. It was the emotional weight. She had been going to Glastonbury as a fan in the mud since she was a little kid.
Oh, wow.
The reality of standing on that specific stage just overwhelmed her. And this is what I find so compelling. She doesn't try to hide these cracks in the armor.
No, and that transparency is vital to understanding her appeal. She never tries to project the illusion of the flawless pop robot. A prime example of this was the 2017 Grammys.
Oh, I remember this.
She was tasked with performing a live, highly publicized tribute to the late George Michael, singing his song Fast Love. During the live broadcast, she experienced some technical difficulties with the sound.
Right.
Now, the standard industry protocol there is to just push through, pretend everything is fine, and deliver a mediocre performance. Adele refused.
She literally stopped the band on live global television. She swore into the microphone, apologized to the audience, and demanded they restart the entire song from the top, telling the crowd, I can't mess this up for him.
Imagine the sheer confidence, mixed with absolute vulnerability, required to halt the Grammy broadcast.
It's that exact imperfection that makes her untouchable. The public trusts her because she doesn't force a glossy, PR-approved narrative onto her life. And she extends that candor to her very real, very dark personal struggles as well.
Yeah, she has been incredibly open about suffering from severe postpartum depression and anxiety after the birth of her son in 2012.
She doesn't sanitize the ugly parts. More recently, during a 2023 concert at her Las Vegas residency, she casually admitted to the audience that she had suffered from borderline alcoholism in her 20s. She celebrated being 3 months sober right there on stage.
She invites the audience into her struggles rather than hiding them.
Right.
And that refusal to play the Hollywood game extends to her business decisions, too. Despite her vast wealth, she is consistently ranked among the highest-earning musicians in the world.
Oh, for sure.
She has famously declined a mountain of lucrative endorsement deals. You don't see an Adele perfume line at the department store. You don't see her doing fast food partnerships or starting a skincare brand.
Right. None of that.
She has actively chosen to protect her life outside of music. It's just the music, and then she disappears.
Which explains why she is regarded not just as a singer, but as a British cultural icon. Polls frequently place her alongside figures like Shakespeare and the Beatles in terms of cultural significance.
That's incredible company to keep.
It really is. Her legacy isn't just about vocal gymnastics or shattering Billboard records. It's about insisting on authenticity in an era of intense algorithmic curation. She proved that you don't need a gimmick if you have the goods.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to a really provocative final thought for you to ponder.
Yeah.
In July of 2024, Adele announced that following her massive Las Vegas residency and a run of stadium shows in Munich, she is taking an indefinite break from music. She stated, flat out, that she has no plans for a new album, saying she needs to take time to simply live a little bit. I want you to think about how radically defiant that is today. We live in an absolute attention economy. Artists are terrified of losing their relevance if they don't post a TikTok every single day or drop a new collaboration every month.
It's a constant grind.
Yet here is an artist at the absolute peak of her power, choosing to step away, retreating from the noise, until she actually accumulates enough life experience to have something real to say again. It really makes you wonder if to truly find your voice, sometimes you just have to stop singing for a while.
That's a great point.
Thanks for listening to Beetle Pod. Keep tuning in for more stories worth knowing.